Hey everybody, time for another science vid. It's me, Mr. Cassidy, and my buddy here, Mr. Bones. And we're going to talk to you today. Well, I'm going to talk. Mr. Bones isn't going to say much, but he's going to watch this presentation on turtles with us. And this is Isaiah's recommendation that we do one on turtles. And so I want to say thanks to Isaiah for recommending this science vid. And if anybody else has anything they want to learn about that's sciencey or naturey, let me know, and maybe we can do a science vid on that. So here we go. This is a green sea turtle looking at us, and this is some turtle anatomy. Uh, we got the beak up here. They call the mouth of a turtle the beak, like a bird. Eye, neck, carapace is the fancy word for the top part of the shell. And then the carapace is made up of these scutes, these individual little plates. We'll talk more about the scutes later. And then tail on the back, you can tell boys and girls apart. Boys generally have longer tails. And then underneath the tail is the cloaca, basically the butt of the turtle, cloaca. It's also what it's called in birds, interestingly. And then underneath the underside of the turtle, that hard shell on the underside is called the plastron. Kind of a cool word, plastron. And turtles are reptiles, like alligators and crocodiles, and snakes and chameleons and iguanas and geckos and dinosaurs. And this is a painting my buddy Brian did. He's a professional dinosaur illustrator. How cool is that? He works for museums and different universities hire him, and he goes out on fossil hunts and digs and documents fossils that different scientists find. Really cool guy, really cool job. His website's called Don't Mess with Dinosaurs. And he has a YouTube channel. He makes dinosaur puppets for different exhibits at museums. Go check him out. But yeah, dinosaurs are reptiles. All reptiles lay eggs, like birds. Here's a little baby croc poking his head out. So cute. You can see his tail right there. And then reptiles have scales. And in the case of turtles, those scales have been modified into scutes, those little individual plates on the back of their carapace. And reptiles are cold-blooded, ectotherms. That's the fancy sciencey name for it. And what that means is that their body temperatures are about the same as whatever the outside air is. So like when you guys come to school in the morning and we take your temperature, it's usually around 98 degrees. That's like the sort of baseline human body temperature is 98 degrees. And that's the same if it's cold out or warm out, it's usually around 98. But with reptiles, their body temperature is going to be whatever the weather is. So if a turtle came to school on a cold day and we took its temperature, it would be cold. It would be hot on a hot day. It's just whatever the outside temperature is. And so that's why, like if you ever find a snake on a cold day, they're just kind of sitting there. They're really sluggish. They need warm weather to get their body going. And here's some cool turtle facts. So those scutes, those little scale, those plates on the back of a turtle on their carapace, they're made of keratin. It's the same stuff that our fingernails are made out of, and our hair is made out of keratin. So that's pretty cool. We got that in common with them. This is the world's smallest turtle right here. This is the speckled Cape tortoise. It's found in South Africa, and that's an adult speckled Cape tortoise right there, 3 inches long. How cool is that? And the biggest turtle in the world, leatherback sea turtle. And we got a little slide on them later on. So we'll learn more about them. This is the oldest turtle in the world. This is Jonathan. He's turning 188 this year. Happy birthday, Jonathan. He's a tortoise. So he doesn't really live in water. You know, he just kind of walks around and eats plants. And they're very long lived. Yeah, 188. He was born before the Civil War. Really, really old dude. And still going strong. And Calliope asked me what the biggest turtle was, and I told her it was the leatherback sea turtle. But then I did a little research, and the biggest turtle of all time, Archelon. This thing was 15 feet tall, 13 feet wide. You can see a size comparison there with this dude over in the corner. Just dwarfs that man. Unbelievable. This thing used to swim around and eat kind of whatever it wants, apparently. There's its bill right there. Kind of looks like a bird, looks like a hawk to me. And it, yeah, strong, big bill. It could crush clam shells, um, fish, snails, whatever it found, really. It was leathery backed, like the leatherback sea turtle that's still around today. And a lot of its fossils have been found in Wyoming in the United States. That's because there used to be a giant inland ocean in the middle of the United States and up in Canada called the Western Interior Seaway. And they found a lot of fossils in this area, a lot of dinosaur fossils. Yeah, they think that this turtle went extinct when the seaway disappeared. And yeah, but they still dig up all kinds of cool dinosaur fossils in in that zone, Montana, south to Texas, up into Canada. And turtles can hold their breath for a really, really, really long time. A lot of pond turtles can hold their breath for 4 to 7 hours at a time. Um, some pond turtles can hibernate underwater or under the ice or in the mud. Uh, so they can be down in the mud under the ice for like 6 months at a time. And that's because they can breathe out of their butts. Isn't that insane? They can breathe out of their butts. We'll talk about that in a second. Sea turtles can hold their breath for at least 10 hours. This is a sleeping hawksbill turtle. It's a type of sea turtle, and he found a cozy little spot in the coral. And yeah, they can sleep for like 10 hours under there. Unbelievable. But yeah, turtles can breathe out of their butts. What? And they do that through this thing called cloacal respiration. And so what is going on basically is that their cloaca has got a ton of veins in it. It's just like highly vascularized, they call it. And those veins are able to exchange gases with the water. So they can pull oxygen out of the water like fish do with their gills. They can breathe in the water through their butts. Wild. But yeah, these turtles, like this painted turtle here, can be underneath the ice of this lake. There's a little bit of this lake that isn't frozen at the very bottom. There's a little bit of water out there in the bottom, and there's a painted turtle down there, barely alive, like its heart is beating just once in a while. Everything's really slowed down, and it's breathing out of its butt, and it's down there for like 6 months at a time. Just crazy stuff. Really cool. Okay, here's that leatherback sea turtle, 6 feet long. It's about as tall as I am, 2,000 pounds, way heavier than me. I mean, that's heavier than a lot of cars. And it eats mostly jellyfish. I mean, just how you could get that big just eating jellyfish is pretty mind-boggling. And a bummer about that is that there's a lot of plastic bags in the ocean. There's a lot of garbage in the ocean, and plastic bags look like jellyfish to turtles, and so they end up eating plastic bags, and they can die from that. So don't throw your plastic bags in the ocean. So this is a mama, leatherback sea turtle. She's dug a hole, a nest, put a bunch of eggs in it, and now she's covering it back up. And she's just going to leave it there, and the eggs are going to develop in the sand, and they're going to hatch out one day, and it's going to be a mad dash for the ocean for these little teeny sea turtles. And I got a little vid here. We'll see if it works. That shows these little sea turtles hatching.
Turtles are soldiering their way through the sand and into the open. They are seeing the world for the first time, using all of their strength to climb up and brave what's between them and the open ocean. But a crowd of hungry onlookers has been eagerly anticipating their arrival. Black vultures wait patiently, watching for any signs of movement. Making it past this avian obstacle won't be easy. The first ones out of the nest are often the fastest, showing off that undeniable survivor's instinct that's kept sea turtles on the planet for around 100 million years.
Wow. There it is. I stopped it there because it starts to get kind of gruesome when the birds come down. So we're just going to keep this PG today. Speaking of PG, this is probably G actually. Here's Crush from Finding Nemo. And if you guys remember, Crush takes Dory and Nemo, or is it Nemo's dad? Can't remember. Takes him on the East Australian Current. And this thing really exists. It's not as fast as it shows them going in the movie, but it's still something that the turtles ride around the ocean in. It helps them move faster to their breeding grounds and places they eat and nest and hang out. And yeah, here's Australia down here, and it goes east over to South America, and then the turtles go north on this Peruvian current, it's called, and then they catch the South Equatorial Current back west, back to where they started. And they just do some laps around the Southern Pacific Ocean, doing their thing. It's super, super interesting. This is a neat map because it shows them as babies getting born over here. And then they cruise over to New Zealand on the Australian current, and they're double in size at that point from when they were babies. And they cruise all the way over here to South America, where they're pretty much adults by then, full size. And they hang out here, and then they catch that South Equatorial Current back west and end up where they started from. And it's time to dig another nest. And that's kind of this big migration cycle they do. Super, super cool. Okay, now we have a couple of native turtles here in Washington. We got the Western Pond Turtle over here, and we got the Western Painted Turtle with this beautiful, bright plastron here with all these kind of wormy squiggle designs underneath. It's just so beautiful. I thought these things were so cool. Here's a really teeny one, a little baby. Still has that beautiful plastron design. And this is a Canadian dollar. It's about the size of a quarter, so this thing is really teeny. Here's another one. I just couldn't get enough of these designs. That's a painted turtle, plastron. And here's a red-eared slider. Isaiah and I were talking about red-eared sliders as pets. I've had one of these as a pet. And yeah, they're called red-ear sliders because it's got that big red ear right there, red stripe right there. And these make great pets. Super fun to watch and hang out with. But it's important not to release them into the wild. A lot of people do that. They get bored with the turtles, or they're moving or something, and they just like put them in a pond somewhere. But that's not great for the native turtles, like the pond turtle and the painted turtle that we have. And so it's better just to find another human home for them, or take them to a pet store or something like that. Okay, I got another quick video for you. This is this guy. His YouTube channel is called Brave Wilderness. He just goes around the world and finds these wild critters and catches them and handles them. And I've learned a lot from this guy. He's kind of a maniac. But this is an alligator snapping turtle. Check this out.
In his mouth. Holy cow, this can be 100-pound turtle. Look at that swamp beast. My goodness. What an absolute dinosaur. Wow, look at that mouth. My entire fist could fit inside there. And yeah, you would not want to get your hand caught in the mouth of this turtle. Let's see if I can get him to put his head up a little bit for us. Okay, buddy. Wow, look.
Oh,
at
yeah.
that. Have you ever seen something so prehistoric? Look at those eyes. His eyes are just beautiful. Now,
Wow.
one of the easy ways to quickly identify an alligator snapping turtle, which as soon as I jumped into the water, I knew it was an alligator snapping turtle because of these three large ridges that run along the top of the carapace. That carapace is the top of the shell. Now, common snapping turtles, the cousin to this species, does not have these distinct ridges. So the plastron, which is the bottom of the shell, on snapping turtles is quite a bit smaller than other turtle species. And the way you can tell whether it's a male or a female is that the males have a slightly concave shell and females have slightly convex shell. So this is a big boy. The males usually have tails that are quite a bit longer than the females as well. And I can also kind of see that he has some turtle parts. That is a huge turtle.
That is a very huge turtle. That's cool. He talked about the carapace on top and the plastron underneath, and you could see how small the plastron was on that alligator snapping turtle because he had those big, strong legs and it needed more room to move around, I guess, or something. But that beak, that big mouth, reminded me of Archelon, the old extinct turtle. Just that big, crunching, snapping beak. Super scary. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go enjoy some pizza. This is Mr. Cassidy and Mr. Bones signing off. Until next time. See how to get out of this thing here. Toodaloo.